How critical can scientists be? Scientists criticize each other's work all the time, fearlessly, brutally. That's one of the foundations of science. Peer review, one scrutinizing the other. Although it is also a little bit of the scientific ego in action, show that you can intellectually pull your opponent's work and ideas apart. But let's look at scientists with our sociological lenses. And truth be told, being hypercritical or even just mildly critical, that's not something that we humans in normal human situations like too much. Be too critical and you will get some angry looks and people won't invite you to the scientist parties. And now let's pay attention to this other important change in the structure and the organization of science. Academic research has become over the years more and more a collaborative effort. Working with a team has become the norm and teams have gotten larger and larger. So for scientists, in the past probably it was way easier to keep the critical edge with their peers. After all, they did not have to interface with them, at least not on a regular basis. But in the context of team science, things get awkward. But put the awkwardness aside, criticism creates debate. It creates disagreements. And in the context of team science, having to deal with disagreements means that the work that they have to do will come to a halt. That may be bad news, but at the same time, criticism and disagreement are essential for science. Criticism and disagreement allow us to make sure that no mistake goes unnoticed, and they allow us to perceive, to understand the complexity of a topic. Criticism and disagreements force scientists to show, to prove that their claims are robust and that no assumption is taken for granted. Criticism and disagreement are the basis of falsification and testing, the well-known Popperian way of defining science. Or as Robert Merton will put it, one of the essential elements of the scientific ethos is organized skepticism. Cool stuff. But nonetheless, in team science, shit needs to be done. Stuff needs to be finished. Let me give you an example. What if a government wants to know what is the maximum acceptable dose of radiation and asks a team of scientists to come up with an answer that they all agree upon? How do you think that'll go about? And governments need these kind of science-based answers and technologies all the time. For example, just think about how many answers we were requesting from scientists during COVID. This type of government science interaction has become just a totally normal, a totally essential part of modern public management. We need scientific consensus to know how to navigate a risky world and a hyper-complex global society. But we also need the mutual criticism and the disagreements between scientists, and we need them to pay attention to those. This is a big paradox of contemporary science, and one that I think does not receive enough attention. To produce good knowledge, disagreements need to be addressed in depth, but doing that distracts scientists from the work that they have to do to deliver socially necessary research outputs. I need to know if my microwave is going to kill me. I need to know if masturbating too much is going to make me blind. So, what can teams of scientists do when facing disagreements? Just ignore them and move forward? Well, that's where this very, very little and wonderful article comes into play. Team scientists should normalize disagreements. I will recommend you to download the paper and read the extended version, which is only 3 pages. It's super small. So the answer that these researchers propose is very, very simple. Scientists should keep track of their disagreements, keep track of what they did about them, and make those public. So research has to follow many steps, and those change depending on the discipline. But usually they involve a sort of preliminary phase that has something like conceptualization, something like determining some protocols, then data collection, data organization, data analysis, drawing conclusions, etc. Each step very different from the other, and with very special requirements. So scientists usually already have to report on how that research process evolves and about the challenges that they faced in each step. So the idea is that just as they already do that, they should also keep track of the disagreements that they have had at different stages, and again, explain what they did about them. Of course, perfect agreement cannot be achieved, and it could be argued that it is undesirable in the context of us wanting to do good science. But we can be transparent about disagreements. Nonetheless, there are a couple of reasons why doing this could lead to negative results. First, actually, the public may think that researchers are incompetent. They are too dumb to come to agreed upon conclusions. Fund providers may think that doing this undermines scientific credibility or that it leads to inefficiencies. And of course, the public reports on disagreements, those could be handled dishonestly. That's a possibility too. But in the opinions of the authors, the benefits align with the core values of science. That's what matters, and that finally leads to results that totally outweigh these possible negative effects. I am of the same opinion. So I guess the big question is, what happens now? Are we going to see more of this? More researchers being transparent, reporting on their disagreements? If you're a researcher working in a team, are you going to propose this idea to your group?